Hello, today's lesson is on bar graphs. So, let's take a look at what a bar graph is. Well, a bar graph is used to show amounts. Bar graphs show test scores, they can show temperature, they can show money, they can show really anything you want to count. So let's take a look at one of them. This is how you spell it. And this is the lesson for the purposes of my class. And here is a bar graph, right? So you've got one axis, which is the vertical, and then you've got another one, which is the horizontal. You can see a bar graph that looks like that, or it can be in a box, like so. Either way, doesn't matter. Let's see what we're talking about. So in this example, we have on the vertical axis, which is the up and down one, we've got the number of students. So it's, well, the bottom one is always 0, usually, depending what the scale is. Then you go one tick mark and talk 1, 2, 3 students, 4 students, 5 students. If we're going to do it on this one, it'd be looking like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And they're usually going to label the side. This is the number of students. And this is the number of students. Okay. So in this situation, what we're doing is we're measuring how many students scored a particular grade on a test. Let's say it's the history test. And on the horizontal, it'll tell you what we are measuring. And so we have 100%, those who got 100%, those who got 90%, those who got 85%, and those who got 80%. And it tells us in the problem that this many students scored 100%. And this many students scored 90% on the test. This many students scored an 85. And this many students scored an 80%. I'm going to stop writing on the other one because I think you get the idea that they're both the same thing. So the question asks us to kind of describe this bar graph. So what's going on here? Well, all we really need to do is find the correlation between these numbers and these numbers right here. So here's how we do it. A question that might be asked of us is, how many students scored 100%? Well, first I find where 100% is. And then I just look at where the bar graph lines up to. The bar graph goes all the way up to 5. And what does 5 mean? It's the number of students. So how many students scored 100%? Well, that's 5 students. Another question might be, 3 students scored this score. So I go to the number of students on the left here. This is 3 students. And then I just follow this line and figure out which test score was scored by 3 students. And that is, or which test score was achieved by only 3 students. By only 3 students. And that was a 90%. And so we're just figuring out different pieces of information just by looking at the bar graph. Let's do one more. 4 students scored what on the test? Well, this is an interesting one because if we go to where it says 4 students, we can see that 4 students scored an 85% and another 4 students scored an 80%. So if you had, all the students lined up, you would say 1, 2, 3, 4 of them scored an 85%. And another 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, scored 80%. So to the question, 4 students scored what on the test? You can say either 85% or an 80%. And so that's basically how you read bar graphs. You figure out what the horizontal axis means and what the numbers line up to and what the vertical axis responds with. And that's pretty simple.